By the way, you can invite your classmate again or friends. So, kumusta kayo? Bukas wala tayong schedule for webinar. Have you seen the post?
Yes po.
Yes. Day 4 and day 5 of our webinar are moved on weekends. So just wait for the exact date or exact time for that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
By the way, may question lang ako. For freshmen, especially for freshmen, nasa na kayong topic for accounting?
Hindi pa po kami nagkaklase.
Hindi pa. How about the others?
Introduction pa lang po.
Okay. So advanced, no? Advanced tong ina-attendan yung seminar. Anyway, magagamit
Opo.
niyo naman to.
Yan lang po yung di ko alam sa accounting cycle.
Pwede kayong watch my video tutorials on YouTube, no? May playlist tayo doon. Then naka-series na yung topics doon. So from introduction up to the second step of accounting cycle, which is prepare journal entries. Pero that is only part 1. So wait for the upcoming part 2 and part 3. Then after that, we will go with posting process, then preparing trial balance. Then etong adjusting entries. I will post this also on my YouTube channel, okay? So wait for that, okay? Then after nun,
Yes, sir.
financial statements, of course.
Closing, sir.
Yes, closing, then reversing. Tatapusin natin yung buong accounting cycle, okay?
May reversing, sir?
Yes, may reversing. Tatapusin natin yung buong accounting cycle.
Sir, magkakaroon din po ba tayo ng merchandising?
I hope meron din. Just just hope and then wait. No? Let's see if I have enough time. No? Sana, gagawin natin yan.
Ayaw malagi ng account ko.
Okay? So again, we are live on Facebook. So medyo light lang discussion natin for tonight, okay? So I guess meron pa bang madadagdag? I guess we can start. Start na tayo. So let me share first the slide. Let me know if you can see.
Wala pa po.
Yan.
Wala pa po.
Can you see it?
Ayan, sir. Yes, sir.
Ayan, yes, sir.
Okay.
Meron na, sir.
Apo, sir.
Okay, class. So, good evening. Welcome to our third day of our 5 days free live webinar series. The series for our basic accounting topic, prepare adjusting entries. Okay? And we are now on the the third and fourth adjusting items, which are accrued income and accrued expense. So, game? Game?
Game, sir.
Game po, sir.
Okay, game. So, first, let us define. Accrued income is income already earned. It is income already earned but not yet received and so classified as an asset. While accrued expense, it is expense already incurred but not yet paid and so classified as liability. Okay? So, when we say accrued, accrued, what do we mean by that, class? No? If we will translate it in Filipino,
Na-receive na po.
anong ibig sabihin yan?
Na-receive na po yung bayad pero di nyo pa po nagagawa yung service.
Nakuha na.
Ulitin natin, no? Ang sabi, expense already incurred for accrued expense but not yet paid and so classified as liability. While accrued income, income already earned but not yet received and so classified as an asset. So, ako na magsabi. Pag sinabi kasi nating accrued, sa Filipino, ibig sabihin, naipon. Okay? Naipon.
Naipon.
Naipong, for accrued income, naipong income. Okay? Na hindi mo pa nakokolekta. At kung hindi mo pa nakokolekta, ano mo yun? Ano mo yun?
Asset.
Receivable. Tama. And we know that receivables are asset. Kaya sinasabi nating ang accrued income, ano daw? Asset. Okay? Tandaan yan.
Accrued income asset. Okay po.
Next.
Anong
Sa-
pinagkaiba ng... Ay, wala po, sir.
Sige. Sa accrued
Ano po pinagkaiba ng accrued income sa accounts receivable, sir?
Accrued income, it can be interest receivable, commission receivable, receivable basically that the sources of income is not coming from the major service provided by the company. So ang accounts receivable kasi we record our receivables from our customer. Na kung saan yung na-provide nating
Yes, sir.
service is major service. Unlike sa accrued income, may receivable ka coming from other sources of income ng company. Pwedeng yung interest nga. Hindi mo naman major sources of income yung interest eh. Tama ba? Kunyari, may notes receivable ka sa customer. And then, kapalit nun, kapag nagbayad siya, may makokolekta kang interest. So, may interest income ka.
Oh.
Kung hindi mo pa nare-receive yun, interest receivable. Tama ba?
Opo, sir.
Okay.
Opo.
So, other sources of income siya. Yung pinanggalingan ng receivable mo for accrued income. Okay? So, siya,
Okay, sir.
yun
Yes,
siya.
sir.
Okay. Pag accrued expense naman, so, accrued, naipong expense na hindi mo pa nababayaran. At kung hindi mo pa nababayaran, ano mo yun?
Payable.
Tama, payables. And we know that payables are liabilities. At kaya sinasabi nating accrued expense ay liability. Maliwanag po?
Yes, sir.
Maliwanag? Accrued
Opo, sir.
income, that's an asset. Accrued expense, that's liability. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. And by the way, class, no, in addition, if you will notice, no, as we define accrued income and accrued expense, this is consistent with one of the accounting principles that we know.
Accrual basis.
That's correct. Accrual principle. Tama? Sabi dito, revenue is recognized when earned, regardless when cash is received. And expense is recognized when incurred, regardless when cash is paid. Tama? And we know that very much. So, let's not go further with that, okay? Hindi na natin yan i-explain ng Marami.
Sir,
Elaborate pa. Yup.
sir.
Question? Yes?
Yung pong accrued expense, di ba parang accounts payable po siya?
Hindi. Just like accrued income, yung accrued expense parang ano to, payables mo that are not major expenses. So technically hindi siya for supplier. Kasi ang accounts payable for supplier yun, for supplier transaction. So accrued expenses parang ano to, mga other payables mo. Katulad ng tax, okay? Na hindi mo pa nababayaran. Katulad ng interest expense kung ikaw naman yung nangutang, tama ba? So these are other expenses na hindi mo pa nababayaran. Okay? Hindi siya yung utang mo kay supplier. Kasi ang supplier, nagpo-provide siya ng goods or service na siyang binibenta mo rin or pinoprovide mo rin sa sarili mong customer. Okay? So, any question?
Wala, sir.
Answer.
Okay, so let's move.
Wala na po.
So, as you can see, we have pro forma entry for accrued income and accrued expense. So, first, accrued income. What's our pro forma entry? Debit. For accrued income, debit. As you can see, accrued income. Credit, income. Tama? So, for example niyan, yun nga, debit accrued interest receivable. Or simply just interest receivable. That is your debit. Accrued income here. Ito yon. So, receivable to Receivable yan. Huwag kayong malilito na may income siyang salita. That is receivable. Kasi nga, take note, ulitin natin ulit, accrued income is an asset. Okay? So, the credit, what's your credit?
Okay po.
If your debit is interest receivable, what's your credit?
Income.
Interest, income. So, in our pro forma,
Interest
that's your
income.
credit here, yung income na to. Okay? So, now, for accrued expense, what's our pro forma entry? Debit, expense. Okay? Credit, accrued expense. So, for example, debit, interest expense. So, pwede yun dito sa expense na yan. As you can see in the pro forma,
Tax
naka-debit siya. So, debit, interest, expense. Then, credit, accrued,
Interest payable.
yes, interest payable or accrued
Payable.
interest payable. Okay? So, in our pro forma, naka-accrued expense lang siya. So, depende sa sa transaction. Ikaw na yung magpapalit mismo to make it more specific pagdating sa account title. Okay? These are just guide kapag mag-e-entry na tayo ng adjustment for accruals. Okay? Sir, question. Again, why we are doing this adjustment? No? Bakit we need to accrue income, accrue expense? Tulad nga ng sinasabi ko palagi, we need this to come up with a reliable and relevant information about the company for the benefit of its stakeholders. Diba? And besides, this is what our accounting standard want us to do. Diba? To give complete, reliable, relevant, and fair financial statements. And that can be done if we prepare properly these adjustments, such as accrued income and accrued expense. Okay? Okay po? Next.
Opo.
Yes, sir.
Now, I have a question, class. No? Ito tayo. What will be the effect if you fail to record the accrued income and accrued expense? So, isa-isahin natin. First, accrued income muna. Di mo na record. What will happen to your asset?
Understated. Accrued.
Hindi mo na record
Asset
ang
will be
accrued income
understated.
and therefore,
Understated.
your asset is
Understated.
understated. Tama. Kasi nga, accrued income is asset. Okay? Pag di mo na-record yan, kulang yung asset mo. So, understated. How about in liability? May effect ba? if you fail to record accrued income,
Wala.
is there an effect in
Wala,
liability?
sir.
Wala. Tama ba? Wala.
Yes,
Kasi
sir.
when you record the accrued income, debit receivable ka, credit income. Walang nabanggit na liability. Tama? So kahit
Opo.
ma-omit mo siya to record, wala siyang effect sa liability. Correct? Next. Pagdating sa equity o sa capital, may effect ba?
No.
Meron.
Hindi.
If you omit to record
Meron.
accrued income, is there's an
Yes.
effect to equity?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Oo, sir.
Ano mangyayari?
Yes,
Kasi
yes.
po,
Understated.
overstated,
Understated.
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 Okay. So, meron. Sir, bakit? Kasi nga, take note na kapag nag-adjusting entry ka ng accrued income, may kaakibat na eto, credit income.
Effect.
Tama? So, hindi mo na-record yung income.
Understated.
So, yung income mo, understated. Eh, di ba, income increases the equity? Eh, dahil sa hindi mo na-record yung
Opo.
income, so yung equity mo, understated din. Tama? Tama?
Opo.
Okay.
Opo, sir.
Sa revenue or income, may effect ba? Siyempre, kakasabi lang natin, di ba? Income or revenue is understated. Sa expense, may effect ba pag di mo na-record yung accrued income?
Wala po.
Wala po.
Meron?
Wala.
Wala po.
Wala. Okay. So, if you fail to record accrued income, basahin. Asset is understated, revenue is understated, net income is understated, equity is understated. Liability is not affected, expense is not affected. As you notice, class, no? The first four items all are understated. Liability and expense not affected if you fail to record accrued income. Okay? Okay?
Opo. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
that's clear?
sir.
Okay. Next, how about if you fail to record accrued expense? Di mo na record. What will happen to your asset?
Baliktad. Not affected.
Overstated.
Not affected po.
What will happen to your asset?
Not affected.
Not affected. Tama?
Not affected.
No effect. Tama? Remember, our pro forma entry to record accrued expense is debit expense. Tama? And
Tama.
credit, accrued expense, which is liability. May nabanggit bang asset?
Wala po.
Wala. Therefore, walang
Wala
effect.
po.
Kahit hindi mo siya ma-record. Walang effect sa asset. Okay? Next,
Okay po.
how about the liability? May effect ba pag hindi mo na-record yung accrued expense?
Yes po.
Yes.
Yes.
Tama?
Yes.
Ano effect?
Yes.
Understated po.
Understated. Kasi nga,
Understated.
ang accrued expense is liability. Pag di mo na-record yan, kulang yung liability mo. So, understated. How about inequity? May effect ba?
Yes
Wala.
po.
What will happen?
Overstated.
Overstated po yung income.
Equity. The question is,
Overstated.
equity. What will happen to your equity?
Overstated po yung equity.
Overstated. Sir, bakit? Okay. Take note na kapag nag-adjusting entry ka ng accrued expense, may kaakibat na debit expense. Okay? Tama? Eh di ba?
Opo.
Hindi mo na record. So, understated yung expense mo. Tapos, remember, ang expense decreases the equity. Tama? Dapat nabawasan yun. Dahil sa hindi mo na-record yung expense, so yung equity mo, overstated. Tama? Yung equity mo, overstated. Okay? Next, sa revenue or income, may effect ba? Kapag di mo na-record ang accrued expense.
Wala po.
Meron? Pero ano wala? Wala. Kasi nga, first and foremost, sa entry mo pa lang, expense and then payable. Walang nabanggit na income. So kahit hindi mo ma-record yan, no effect to income. Okay? Sa expense, ano mangyayari if you fail to record accrued expense? Definitely, expense will be
Understated po.
understated, syempre. Okay? Okay? So if you fail to record accrued expense, tandaan natin na liability is understated. Expense is understated. Net income is overstated. Equity is overstated. Asset is not affected and revenue is not affected. So as you can see, no, ano sila, by partner. Liability expense, both understated. Net income, equity, both overstated. Asset and revenue, not affected. Okay? So, madali lang tandaan or i-familiarize. Okay? Question?
None
Question?
po. None po.
So, kung wala, let's proceed with the illustration. Okay. So, pakibasa muna. On December 31, 2020, the greatest company sent billing statement in the amount of 15,000 for the office space used by its lessee, the Greater Incorporated, for the month of December. The lessee paid the company on January 10, 2021. What will be the adjusting entry of the greatest company at the end of December 31, 2020? So, wait lang. Okay. So what will be the adjusting entry of the greatest company? By the way, question. Sino dito si the greatest company? Yung nagpapaupa o yung nangungupahan?
Papaupa.
Yung
Yung
nagpapaupa.
papaupa.
Papa-upa.
Tama?
Upa.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sino naman dito si the Greater Incorporated?
Yung nangungupahan.
Yung nangungupahan, syempre. Okay.
Nag-upa.
Okay. So the question is, what will be your adjusting entry at the end of December 31 in the books of the greatest company? Yung nagpapaupa, yung lessor. Okay? Debit.
Accrued income po.
Okay. Credit. Pro forma, sige. First, say the pro forma. Debit. Accrued income. Credit.
Accrued income.
Income.
Credit income.
Okay. Let's be specific. Anong account title yung debit mo?
Accrued rent.
Accrued rent and income.
Accrued?
Rent income.
Pwede yon. Pero much better to call it
Rent.
rent receivable. Okay?
Oh.
Rent receivable.
What's your credit?
Rent income.
Rent income.
Rent
That's
income.
correct. Amounting to
15.
15,000.
15,000.
Okay? So, eto yon. On December 31, 2020, debit rent receivable, 15,000. Credit rent income, 15,000. Explanation, to record rent income for the month of December 2020. Okay? Now,
Okay po.
just to continue, no, may sinabi kasi dito na the lessee paid the company on January 10, 2021. So, let us just continue the transaction and record the journal entry. Okay? Nakakolekta daw noong January 10. So, therefore, debit cash ka. Tama? 15,000. Then, bawas na sa receivable mo dahil nakolekta mo na nga. Tama? So, credit rent receivable ka. On January 10, 2021. Kasi nagbayad na si lessee. Tama po? Tama po?
Opo.
Yes,
Opo.
sir.
Okay. So, eto ang tanong. Paano kung hindi ka nakapag-adjust? On December 31, 2020. Ganito ang magiging entry mo. For both periods. 2020 tsaka nung 2021. Kung hindi ka nakapag-entry, syempre wala kang adjusting entry noong December 31, 2020. At ano ang entry mo for January 10, 2021? Debit cash, 15,000. Credit rent income, 15,000. Tama? Kasi akala mo, kita mo yan for that period. Tama? Ang tanong, tama ba yan? Di ba kung hindi ka nag-adjusting entry, malamang ganitong entry mo nung makakolekta ka. Tama? Tama po?
Opo.
Okay. Ang tanong, tama ba yan?
Hindi po.
The answer
Hindi
is,
po.
hindi. Di ba? Mali. Remember, in accrual principle, we recognize revenue when earned, regardless when cash is received. And for a service type, earned yan kapag nakapag-render na yung business ng service. Tama? At sa illustration natin, na-render na yung service. Kasi nga, nagamit na ni Leslie yung upa for December 2020. Okay? So, dapat doon pa lang, for 2020, nag-recognize na siya ng income. Kasi pag ganito, class, yung ginawa natin, kulang yung income natin for the year 2020. Di ba? Kasi dapat dun siya nakapasok as income. Tama? So, understated yung income natin for 2020. At the same time, understated din yung asset natin under rent receivable kung sakaling wala nga tayong ginawang adjusting entry for December 31, 2020. Tama po? Now, sa 2021 naman, ano mangyayari sa income mo? Kapag ganitong ginawa mo? Overstated. Diba? Kasi nga, dapat yung income na yan, hindi for 2021. Bagkus, dapat for 2020. Okay? Maliwanag po yun?
Yes po.
Any question? Any question?
None po.
Sige. So, let's proceed. So, same illustration. This time, ipapakita naman natin yung sa side ni Leslie. On December 31, 2020, so ganun din yan. Question is, what will be the adjusting entry of the Greater Incorporated? Again, sino dito si the Greater Incorporated?
Nag-uupa po.
Yung nangungupahan or the lessee. Okay?
Nangungupa.
Now, what will be the adjusting entry of the Greater Incorporated at the end of December 31, 2020?
Debit interest expense for 15,000 and
Interest
credit
expense?
interest pay. Interest payable.
Rent payable.
Sorry, teka lang.
Ready.
Yan. What will be the entry? Debit?
Interest expense.
Interest ba?
Ay, rent expense.
Okay. Debit?
Rent expense
Rent
of
expense.
15,000.
Credit?
Rent payable of 15,000.
15,000. So, tama yun. That's correct.
Rent.
Ito yan. Debit rent expense, 15,000 for December 31, 2020. Credit rent payable, 15,000 din. To record rent expense for the month of December 2020. This will be the recording of the lessee, the Greater Incorporated. Okay? Okay, next. Just to continue the illustration, no? Noong January 10, ano nangyari? Nagbayad na sino?
Nangungupahan.
Yung nangungupahan. And therefore, wala na siyang utang. That's why you debit rent payable 15,000 and credit cash 15,000 on January 10, 2021. Explanation of that entry is to record payment of rent for December 2020. Okay? Tama po yun? Tama yun.
Opo.
Now, again, same question. What if hindi nagawa yung adjusting entry for 2020? So, wala kang adjusting entry. So, kung wala kang adjusting entry, malamang nung nagbayad, si Leslie, ganito ang entrada niya. Debit rent expense, 15,000. Credit cash, 15,000. Tama? Ganyan ang magiging entrada niya kung wala siyang adjusting entry nung 2020. Ang tanong, tama po ba yan?
Hindi po.
Hindi. Mali yan. Tama? Again, in accrual principle, we recognize expense when incurred. regardless when cash is paid. Tama? Incurred yan kapag nagamit mo na o nakonsumo mo na. Tama? And nakonsumo na nga niya yung space for the month of December. Okay? So, kasi, ulitin natin, pag ganito ang ginawa, kulang yung expense natin for the year
2020.
2020. Kasi dapat dun siya nakapasok as expense. Diba? And obviously, understated yung expense natin for 2020 kapag ganito ang ginawa natin. And at the same time, understated din yung alin?
Liability.
Yung liability. Under rent payable kapag ganito ang ginawa natin. Ngayon, sa 2021 naman, what will happen to your expense?
Overstated po.
Overstated. Kasi nga, di dapat yan expense for 2021. Bagkus, dapat sa 2020. Maliwanag po.
Opo.
Maliwanag po yon. Any
Opo.
question?
Wala po.
Okay. Maingay daw yung aso. Pero nawala naman na siya eh. Tumahimik na ulit. Okay? So let's continue. Okay. Another illustration. Medyo light lang ang magiging discussion natin for tonight. Okay? So medyo may computation tayo. On November 1, 2020, Powerpuff Incorporated rendered delivery service to Mr. Mojo Jojo in the amount of 20,000. Mr. Mojo Jojo wrote a promissory note to pay the business within 90 days at 12% interest per annum. The company uses calendar year period. Okay? Question, how much is the interest to be recognized for the year 2020? And number 2, prepare necessary adjusting entry ending December 31, 2020. So by the way, I have a question, class. Ito, can you see it? Ayan, yung inaano ko. Calendar year. Okay? Pag sinabi natin calendar year, ano ibig sabihin nun?
It starts from January,
Okay, that's correct.
then mag-end po siya ng December.
That's correct. Actually, class, we have generally two kinds of accounting year period. Okay? We have first, calendar year. And second, we have
Fiscal.
fiscal year. Okay? In calendar year, it starts with January 1 and ends on December 31. Fix yun. Okay? Yun at yun lang. Unlike fiscal year, it starts and ends at any point as long as it comprises a consecutive 12 months. Meaning, pwedeng January 31, pwedeng February 1, yung starting niya, then yung ending accounting period niya, January 31. Still 12 months. Tama? O kaya, starting niya, July 1, 2020, then ending niya, June 30, 2021. Okay? So, still 1 year yon, but what kind of accounting year period? Fiscal year. Okay? Any period that will not start and end on January 1 and December 31, respectively. Okay? Okay. Let's continue with the problem. Okay. How much is the interest to be recognized for the year 2020? Okay. First and foremost, my first question is, when is the due date to collect or for Mr. Mojo Jojo to pay his
November.
notes receivable?
On January,
December 31.
When is the due date?
November,
February.
January
January
31. January 31.
January 31? 90 days eh. Tama? Tatakbo daw ng 90 days or tama. Within 90 days at the maximum babayaran ni Mr. Mojo Jojo yung notes receivable. At the same time, the interest. Tama? So from November 1, bilang ka ng 90 days. Kailan ang due date? Not January 31.
30. 20.
January,
29.
not January 21 din. January 30. Paano nangyari yun, sir? So, bilang tayo ha. From November 1 up to November 30. So, 29 days. Tama? Hindi mo sasama yung November 1. So, November 1 to November 30, 29 days. Excluding the November 1. Tama po? Tama po? So, we have 29 days sa November. And next, pagdating ng December, we have 31 days. Tama? So, ilang days na yon in total? 60. Tama? Tama po?
60.
60. To make it 90, we need 30 days, another 30 days. And that is January 30, 2021. So the due date will be January 30, 2021. Okay? So, yun ang una nating kailangan malaman. Next, ang tanong, what will be the interest for this? Sasabihin na natin. By the way, what's the formula to get the interest? Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Okay?
PRT.
How much is the principal? 20,000. How much is the rate? 12%. And
20,000.
ano yung time natin? 90 days. Okay? 90 days over 360 days. Kasi nga, yung rate natin, good for 1 year. Yan. Kaya lang, 90 days lang magiging ano natin, basis of computation ng interest income because within 90 days lang siya dapat mabayaran. So, expected natin, dapat bayad yun within 90 days. That's why we will compute it on the 90 days lang. Or on the number of days na binigay dun sa promissory note. So, that is 90 days. So, over 360, approximate day for 1 year yan. So, if you will calculate it, you will have 600 as interest expense. Tama? Tama po? Babayaran niya yan, January 31, yung 20,000 plus the 600, January 31. January 30, babayaran niya yung notes receivable ni Mr. Mojo Jojo, 20,000, and then the interest, 600. So, total collection of Powerpuff Incorporated will be 20,600 on January 30. But the question is, di ba? Ano ba ang tanong? How much is the interest to be recognized for the year 2020? For the year 2020. Yung kinumpute natin, hanggang bayaran niya to sa January 30, 2021 eh. Tama? So, hindi pala ito ang kailangan nating amount na gagamitin natin for adjusting entry. Tama po?
Opo.
So, ano o magkano dapat?
400 po.
The answer is
400.
400. How much is the interest to be recognized for the year 2020? 400. How did you get that, sir? 20,000 times 12% times 60 over 360. Sir, how did you get that 60 days? Okay, let's count again. Take note, ang cutoff natin, no, is December 31 because that's the end of the accounting period. Hanggang dun lang tayo mag-a-accrue or mag-a-adjust. Okay? So, November 1 to November 30, 29 days. For December, 31 days. In total, 60 days yung dapat nating i-accrue. Tama? So, that's how you get 60 days. And then the answer will be 400. Maliwanag po yun. Hindi tayo nag-base sa 90. Kasi ang dapat lang nating i-accrue kung ano lang yung sakop niya for the year 2020. Tama po? So, if you will prepare adjusting entry,
Opo.
your answer will be debit. Ito na yun. Sagutin na natin. Debit, interest, receivable, 400 pesos. Credit, interest, income, 400 pesos. Okay? Just to continue, sabihin natin, babayaran na. On January 30, 2021, tama? Ito yung due date, di ba? Expected na babayaran si Powerpuff ni Mr. Mojo Jojo. So, how much is the cash that will be received by Powerpuff? 20,600. Tama? So, dahil nakolekta na niya, bawas na natin sa notes receivable amounting to 20,000. Tama? And bawas na rin natin sa interest receivable that we previously recognized last 2020, which is amounting to 400. The difference is the interest income accrued in January 2021. Itong 200. Ito yung natitirang interest na hindi natin pwedeng i-accrue sa 2020 kasi nga hindi pa siya or hindi siya sakop ng cutoff na yun dahil pang 2021 siya. Tama? And that's the time we recognize the interest income in January 2021. Explanation to record collection of the notes and interest. Okay? Maliwanag po yun? Question?
Clear, sir.
Okay, If you have question, just raise your or just talk or comment in the chat box. Okay? Next.
Sir, may tanong po ako.
Sige, yes.
Kailan po ginagamit yung 365 days po?
Sorry.
Kailan po ginagamit po yung 365 days?
Okay, ganito na lang. Pag silent yung problem, use the approximate days. And that is 360 days. And then pag sinabi niya, kapag sa problem, sinabi niya 365, that's the time you use 365. Pero kung silent ang problem, use 360 days as the base.
Okay, sige po. Thank you po.
Next. Another illustration. So, on July 4, 2020, Powerpuff Incorporated borrowed a 270-day note amounting to 500,000 from Western Bank with 13% interest per annum. Okay? How much is the interest to be recognized for the year 2020? Prepare necessary adjusting entry ending December 31, 2020. So, my first question is, when is the due date? Yun ang palagi mong tanong. When is the due date?
February 4, 2021.
Are you sure? That is a 270-day note. So, bilang ka niyan from July 4, 2020. So, illustrate lang natin, para medyo maliwanag. So, 2020. Okay, medyo mabagal lang. Straight natin para malinaw. Okay, so in 2020,
April po pala.
March 30 po.
March?
March 30.
Okay, sige. Let's see. Pakita lang natin para malinaw. So you have July, August, September, October, November, December. October, November, December. Then 2021. Tama? Okay. 2021, January, February, March. Tingnan lang natin muna hanggang March, ha? So, sa July 2020, ilang days na lang natitira? So, hindi mo na isasama yung 4 days. Tama? Hindi mo na isasama yung 4 days. 31 days ang July. And that is? 27. Tama?
Oh.
Para lang malinaw. Next, sa August, ilang days?
31.
31. Teka. Okay, sa September?
30.
30.
30.
October?
31.
31. November,
30.
30. December,
31.
31
po.
so compute muna natin as of the moment. So ilan kayang to? How many days are here? Okay, 180 days. So marami pa tayong kukunin. So 270. Total days is 270, right? So we need
Opo.
still how many days? 90.
90.
Kailangan pa natin ng 90. So bilang ulit tayo. Sa January, ilang days?
31.
31. February,
28.
28.
28. Sa March,
31.
31. So dapat ito, ilan na lang ang kulang?
90.
90. Sakto ba?
Opo.
Sakto.
Opo.
So the due date will be March
March
31. Okay? Okay, ganun tayo mag-analyze when it comes to determining the due date. So, back on the illustration. Saan yun? How much is the interest to be recognized for the year 2020? So first, let's compute muna the whole interest that will be paid by PowerPuff to Western Bank. Okay? Tama? Let's compute kung magkano yung total interest muna. Huwag muna nating isipin kung ano yung i-accrue for 2020. Just compute the total interest. You have how much? Interest formula.
48,750.
48.
48,750.
Okay, 48,750. How did you get that? 500,000, the principal, times rate, 13%, times time, 270 days. Tama? Yung notes, then over 360 for 1 year yon. So, the interest will be 48,750. But, yan ba ang hinahanap?
Hindi po,
Hindi.
sir.
Ang hinahanap is the interest expense that will be accrued in December 31, 2020. And the answer will be
32,500.
okay, 32,500.
32,500.
How did you get that, sir? 500,000, again, principal, times rate, 13%, times time. And the time is 180 days over 360. Sir, how did you get the 180? Balik tayo dun sa illustration kanina. Di ba hanggang December 31? Tama? Ito yon. Tama? Tama
Yes,
po?
sir.
Nung pinag-add natin to lahat, ang sagot daw ay 180. Ito. Tama? Ito yung total niya up to December
Yes, sir.
31, 2020. And that's how you get 180 days. Okay? Entry for adjusting. Debit.
Yes, sir.
Debit. Debit what?
Interest payable.
Interest payable. What's our pro forma to record adjusting entry for accrued expense? Debit,
Interest
expense.
expense.
Credit, accrued expense.
Expense.
So, to answer the second question, what's our entry? Entry,
Interest expense.
Interest
Interest
expense of
expense.
32,500.
Interest expense.
32,500. Credit,
Interest payable.
32,500.
500.
500.
Okay. So, that's correct. Now, ito yun. Okay, yung sinabi natin kanina. So, explanation to accrue interest for 180 days to Western Bank. Entry in December 31, 2020. Now, just to continue the illustration, magbabayad daw kailan? March 31. Ito yun.
March
Tama?
31.
March 31, 2021. Okay? So, kung magbabayad si PowerPuff, mababawasan yung cash. That's why you credit cash. Okay? And mababawasan din yung mga utang mo. Notes payable will be debited, amounting to 500,000, the principal amount. And debit also interest payable, which we accrue last year, amounting to 32,500. 500. Tama? And another debit
Opo.
for interest expense recognized in 2021. 16,250. Sir, paano nakuha yan? Just the difference of the 48,000, saan yun? 48,000, tama ito? 750
Opo.
less the 32,500. Okay? Now, kung gusto mo na ma-assure o ma-ensure na tama yung nasa yun, 16,250, go with the formula. 500,000 times 13% times ilan na lang natitirang days to make it 270? 90 days. Yun yung
90.
para sa 2021. Still, what you will get is 16,250. Okay? Explanation to
Yes, sir.
record payment of the notes and interest. Maliwanag po? Question po?
Liwanag po.
Question?
Na.
Question? Tingnan natin.
Wala po. Maliwanag po.
Wala po.
Okay.
Wala
So that's it, class. Okay? Yun lang. Ganun lang siya kasimple. Simple lang naman pagdating sa accrued expense and accrued income. Now, if you don't have any question, ako may question. Let's see if the concepts are there already. Okay? Let's answer review question. Which of the following is not an expense account? Okay.
That's
Bad debt.
A.
Bad debt.
Letter?
Accrued expense.
Ano
Accrued
daw ang hindi
expense.
ano daw ang hindi expense? The answer is
Accrued expense.
accrued
bad
expense.
debts.
The answer is accrued
A.
expense. Okay? Ang bad debts expense yun, tama?
Yes po.
Ang accrued expense, ano daw yan?
Liability.
Liability, na ipong expense na hindi pa nababayaran. Therefore, payable. Classified as liability. Okay? Nadali tayo doon. Okay?
Opo.
Next. Which of the following statement is false? Ang mali ang hinahanap natin.
Dog.
Failure. Letter
D.
C.
D.
Letter D. Failure to
Letter?
record accrued expense.
Letter D.
Letter D.
Yes. That's correct.
Overstate the asset.
Okay. Itong letter A, letter B, okay, tama naman. Parehas naman. Accrued income is asset. Accrued expense, liability. That's correct. Yung letter
Yes, sir.
C, failure to record accrued income will understate the equity. Okay. Kung hindi ka nag-record ng accrued income, understated yung income mo. Tama? Eh, ang income, nagpapataas sa equity. At dahil hindi mo na-record yan, yung equity mo, hindi tumaas. Therefore, understated. Tama? So, tama itong letter C. Yung letter D, failure to record accrued expense will overstate the asset. Teka. Ang entry natin sa accrued expense, debit expense, credit, accrued expense or payable. Walang nabanggit na asset doon. Therefore, dapat ang statement will not affect the asset. So the incorrect statement, the false statement is letter D. Okay?
D.
Next, 29. It's number 29 slide. Which of the following transactions involves accrual? A. Payment of prepaid insurance. B. Estimated uncollectible accounts. C. Salaries incurred but not yet paid. D. Rent for 5 months collected in advance. Answer? So, yung nanonood sa Facebook, pwede mag-comment.
C.
Letter?
C po.
C.
C.
C. Are you sure? Are you sure?
No.
Medj, sir, medj.
Dapat hindi tayo natatakot kapag tinanong na tayo ng are you sure? 'Di ba? If we are sure with our answer, okay? The correct answer is C. Okay? The payment of prepaid insurance, prepaid expense to. Okay? Estimated uncollectible accounts, budgets to. Rent for 5 months collected in advance. Okay? Rent income mo to in the future, pero nakolekta mo na in advance. Therefore, utang mo yan. Pero unearned. Okay? Unearned or deferred income kung tawagin. Okay? So, pati-discuss natin yan on the last 2 days of our webinar. So, the answer is letter C. Take note, salaries incurred but not yet paid. Accrued expense. Tama?
Yes po.
Next. The following information were available at the end of the accounting period for ESA Enterprise. The requirement is prepare necessary adjusting entries for each item. So, lahat yan. Sige nga. So, for those who answer, no, comment in the chat box and comment in the comment section in the Facebook Live, okay? For letter A, mahirap ba?
Hindi po. Salary expense, salary payable,
Debit?
accrued salary.
Debit, salary expense.
Credit?
Salary
Salary
payable.
Salary is payable.
Okay. So, the answer for letter A, debit, salaries expense,
Salary expense.
6,000. And credit, salaries payable,
Payable po.
6,000.
6,000.
For letter B, so sulat lang
Tax
natin. Sulat natin yon para ma-visualize. So, you have debit, salaries expense, okay. Then you have credit, salaries payable.
payable.
So, amounting to 6,000.
6,000.
Okay. Next, that is letter A. Letter B.
Tax expense.
Balik tayo. Tax accrued amounting to 3,000. Debit.
Tax expense.
Debit.
Tax expense of 3,000.
Then credit,
Tax payable
Tax
of
payable.
3,000.
3,000. That's correct. So letter B. Tax expense, 3,000. Tax payable, 3,000. Next, letter C. Ano sabi?
Utility expense. Utilities payable.
Okay. Debit,
Utilities expense,
expense.
credit,
10,000. Utilities payable.
Utilities payable,
10,000.
10,000.
So, sabi sa inyo, easy lang to, tama? Easy lang yan.
Yes, sir. Hindi katulad ng depreciation. Kagigil.
So, utilities expense. Utilities. Magkano yun? Sorry, I forgot.
10,000.
10,000. Then, utilities payable. 10,000. Next. Ano yung next natin? A commission earned but not yet received amounting to 12,000.
Receivable. Ay,
Accounts receivable. Debit
Ano
accounts
yung price, sir?
receivable.
Let's be specific. Hindi yan receivable. Hindi yan accounts receivable.
Opo, hindi po. Wait lang.
Commission.
Commission? Commission?
Commission.
Commission receivables?
So the answer is debit,
Commission receivable?
Commission
12,000.
receivable.
Credit,
Commission income.
Commission income.
okay, that's
Commission
correct.
receivable.
So debit,
Sir, natin commission.
ha?
Ano po yung commission?
Commission, if you help somebody to increase their sales, technically they will give you commission. Tama ba? Yung simple referring ng mga client. Natutulungan mo yung iba. So,
Walang sir company po.
yeah, ano?
Kada po namin, company, yung commission.
Hindi. So, commission, debit, commission. Ano yung sabi nyo kanina? Receivable.
12,000.
Commission receivable.
Opo, receivable.
How much?
Receivable.
12,000.
12,000. Credit,
Commission
Commission
income.
Commission income.
income. Magkano? 12,000.
12,000.
12,000.
Ganun lang.
Teacher.
Ganun lang for this problem. Okay? And last, review question.
Sir,
Problem din to. Okay, basahin ko muna. On May 16, 2020, a seller received a promissory note from a customer in the amount of 350,000. The note is payable within, so mali yung ano natin, within 300 days at 12% interest per annum. The company uses fiscal year period ending June 30, 2020. Requirement: prepare all necessary journal entries for the seller. Prepare all necessary journal entries for the customer.
History per ending.
Okay? So, una mong tanong, when is the due date? Correct? The next question, how much will be the total interest? The next question, how much interest should be accrued at the end of the accounting period? And then the journal entries and adjusting entries. Okay? I will give you time to answer this. So remember, formula is principal times rate times time to get the interest. Done? Okay na po?
wait, sir.
And of course, while answering dapat you have your calculator Okay? Beside you. Done?
Meron na, sir.
How about the others? Are you computing? Okay na? So, first, you need to journalize all necessary entries for the seller. The next, journalize all necessary entries for customer. What's that? Ano yun?
Sakit sa tinga.
Okay na po? Okay na po? So, yung nanonood din sa Facebook, no? Pwede pong sumagot. Na. Okay na? Done? Okay na po? So, for those who are shy to talk, you can comment your answer here. Okay? Okay na? One minute. Okay? So, let's answer. Okay, let's answer. So, first, we need to journalize the transaction for the seller. Okay, so pakita natin. Okay. So, you have, so, isulat muna natin yung mga important dates. By the way, so before anything else, what we need to determine first is the due date. Tama po?
Due date, sir.
When
Yes,
is the
sir.
due date?
February 9?
300 days to, tama ba? Starting May 16, 2020. And let's see kung kailan yon. So, meron tayong 2020 dito. Sulat lang natin para mas visualize. So, 2020, kailan nagsimula daw? May 16. So, sulat muna natin, May June, July, August, September, October, November, December. June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Then we have 2021. January, February, March. Tingnan natin. Okay? So for May, ilan yung natitirang days?
15 days.
15.
15 kasi 16 eh, di ba? May 16 so less 31. So 15 na lang natitira. Okay?
Opo.
Nasaan yun ito? Then sa June, we have 30 days. Tama?
30. Opo.
Okay. Format natin ng maayos. July, 31. August, 31. Tama po?
Opo.
September,
Opo.
30. October, 31. November, 30.
31.
December,
30.
31.
31.
Tama? Let's check kung magkano muna to
Yes,
in
sir.
total. Para malaman natin ilan na lang ang kulang. So, 299 days. Kulang pa tayo ng 300
1.
less 229. May 71 days pa tayo, tama? Tama po? Tama? To make it
Opo.
300. So, bilang ulit tayo.
Opo.
31, 28. So, magkano na to? 59. So, to make it 71, tama ba? March 12. Tama? 71 siya eh. 31,
Opo.
28, and 12. So, the due
Opo.
date is March 12,
March 12, 2021. 21.
2021. Okay. The question is, first question muna, how much will be the total interest expense? So, let's first compute that, okay? Pakita lang muna natin kung magkano yung total. Our formula to get the interest, no, is principal equals
Times rate times time.
times rate times time. Magkano ang principal amount?
350 po.
Saan yun? 350,000. 300 days, then 12%. Okay, tatandaan na lang muna natin yan. So, 300,000, tama, times the rate, 13% yon, tama? Tama po ba? 13? 12, sorry. 12% times,
Sir, 300 po yung principal.
sorry. 350,000
50,000.
times 12% times 300 days, tama?
300 divide 360.
360. So, magkano daw?
34.
34 ba?
34.
34? Hindi ba 35?
Ay. May butal sa... Hindi.
Tama?
35 po.
35.
35 po.
The total interest that
35.
will be paid, no? Sorry. Kasi seller muna tayo. The total interest that will be received by the seller upon the full payment of the notes receivable, no, is 35,000. But the question is, how much will be the amount of the accrued interest that will be recognized at the end of the accounting period? Okay? Tama? Ito kasi yung total na eh. Tama? Ang gusto lang natin malaman or makuha, yung interest na i-accrue natin at the end of the accounting period. Tanong, kailan ba yung accounting period natin for this illustration?
June 30.
June 30.
June 30.
'Di ba? Doon daw siya mag-e-end. Tama? Doon mag-e-end yung accounting
Opo.
period ng company. And that is how many days from the issuance of the promissory note coming from the customer?
45 days.
Ilang araw lang yon?
45 days.
45 days. So, yun lang yung magiging basis natin to get the accrued interest for fiscal year ending June 30, 2020. Okay? So, balik tayo. Hanggang dito lang daw. Tama? Hanggang dito lang.
Oo.
Tama? Hanggang dyan lang. So, ilang days yan? Ilang days yan?
Fort-
45 days.
45 po.
So to get the interest receivable and at the same time interest income ending June 30, 2020, 350,000 times 12% times ilang days? 45 dapat to. Tama? 45 days only. So the answer will be 5,250. Okay? Tama po? So,
Apa.
to record December 31, okay? Sulat natin. This is year 2020, right? Sorry, December 31. June 30, tama?
30. Apa.
2020. Okay? So to record the adjusting entry is the debit is
Interest receivable.
interest receivable.
Receivable.
Kasi ikaw yung makaka-receive ng payment. So interest receivable. How much?
3,000.
Magkano daw?
5,000.
5,250.
5,250.
Tulad natin. Credit,
Interest income.
Interest income.
that's correct. Interest income. Magkano? Ganun din.
5,250.
5,250.
Tama?
Apa.
So, next. By the way, no?
Notes receivable.
Ang requirement kasi, sabi niya, i-record lahat ng necessary journal entries. So, meron tayong nakalimutan before the adjusting entry.
Apa.
Yung May 16, tama? May entry tayo dapat dyan. Tama?
Apa.
Entryan natin. Kulang pala yung entry natin. So, yung May 16, may nangyari. The company received a promissory note. Tama? Coming from its customer. And that is debit notes receivable ka. Tama ba? You have received a promissory note. Then debit notes receivable
Apo,
amounting
sir.
to 350,000.
50,000.
Bakit ka naka-receive? Because probably you performed a service to your customer. And therefore, credit service
Yes, sir.
to. Tama? Service income.
Service.
Tama? Service yun.
Income.
Probably nakapag-provide ka ng service
Oh.
sa customer. Eh, wala pa siyang pambayad that
Pero
time.
wala.
Tama? Wala pa siyang pambayad that time. That's why the customer issued notes. Tama? So, ang meron ka, notes receivable. Sir, bakit hindi accounts receivable?
Hindi
Di ba?
siya
Di ba ang accounts receivable ginagamit natin to record the receivables to our customer? That's correct.
Apa.
Pero dito kasi sa problem, nag-issue ng promissory note. So, the proper account title to be used is notes receivable. Tama?
Oh. Apa,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Pag may binigay na notes receivable ang recording natin.
Pero
Okay?
kung wala, sir,
Accounts receivable.
accounts receivable.
And
Yung
kapag ganun ang entry, wala tayong co-computing interest. Okay? Tama? Okay. Next. Tama na to. Next year, 2021, ano mangyayari dyan? May mangyayari dito. What will happen in 2021? Dated. Kailan yun? March 12. Tama? May mangyayari dito. 2021. 2022. March 12. Okay. 2021. What will happen? The seller or the business will collect or will receive cash from its customer. Tama? So what's
Yes,
your
sir.
entry?
Cash.
Debit cash. That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Pagkano?
385,000.
385,000.
How did you get that?
Yun pong kabuuan.
Okay. The whole amount or the principal amount of the notes, 350, tama?
Apo.
Plus the whole interest. Tama?
Apo.
Which is amounting to 35,000.
35,000.
So the answer will be 385,000. Yan yung total na cash na marireceive mo in March 12, 2021. Tama? So, kung nakapagbayad na, deduct it from your notes receivable. So, credit ang notes receivable mo, amounting to
350.
350. Tama, that's 350. 350,000. Ano pa ang mababawas?
Interest receivable.
Interest receivable. Amounting to
35,000.
35 ba?
35.
35 ba?
Opo.
5,250?
Ay, 5,250.
5,250.
5,250.
50.
Okay? Kasi yun lang naman na-recognize natin na interest receivable. Then next, another credit. Interest income to. Tama? For the year 2021, may interest income ka amounting to
29,750.
29,750. To make it
50.
magkano yan? Magkano ba dapat ang total? 35. So, that's the correct answer. That's how you do it. Okay? Maliwanag po ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Opo, sir.
Yes,
Question? So, kung wala,
None po.
yung second question, prepare all necessary journal entries for sino? Customer naman.
Customer.
Okay.
Customer po.
May magbabago ba sa mga amount? Wala.
Wala po.
Pero may
Wala
magbabago sa entry natin in terms of account titles. Kasi nga,
Meron
this
po.
time, what we will record is the
Customer po.
transaction of the customer.
The customer.
Customer.
So, yung May 16, 2020, what will be your entry?
Notes
Service income?
expense? Ay, hindi. Service.
Notes
Service
payable.
Debit?
Debit. Service income po.
But service income.
Ay. Yung
Kung income ni
Debit
seller yun,
Notes expense.
Notes expense of
Notes expense
350,000.
po.
And credit notes payable of
Payable.
350,000.
Opo.
okay. So, unahin muna natin yung credit. Okay, para mas madali. So, credit muna. What's your credit?
Notes payable.
That's
Bye.
correct. Notes payable.
notes payable.
What's your debit?
Notes expense.
Notes expense.
May notes expense ba tayong account title? Take note, ano nakuha niya?
Yung
Service, di ba? Coming from the seller.
ay service.
Opo.
Tama? Ngayon, hindi
Opo.
natin alam kung anong klaseng service yun. Ano nalagay natin?
Service.
Service?
Purchase. Servicing.
Service.
Okay. Ang ilalagay nating account title dito is an expense account, no? Since service yung nakuha niya, sulat natin ganito. Cost of service. Okay? Hindi yan purchase kasi ano yan eh. Pag sinabi mong purchase, means product or goods yung na-receive niya. Service ang na-provide,
Cost
tama?
of service.
Cost of
Cost of
service. So that's an example of an expense account. Okay? For a service type, cost of service. So let's assume na yan yung ano natin. Expense account for that. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay po, sir.
Next. On June 30, 2020, what will be the adjusting entry of the customer?
Interest expense.
Okay.
Interest
Debit, interest,
Interest
expense, credit, interest,
Interest payable.
Same amount pa rin yan. Wala naman magbabago. In March 2021, what will happen? The customer will pay the seller. Tama?
Opo.
Debit cash ba yon?
Hindi po.
Hindi. So, unahin muna natin yung credit. Madali eh. Tama? What's your credit?
Cash.
That's correct. Kasi nagbayad ka nga. So, sulat muna natin. Credit, cash. Amounting to? Magkano daw yung total, yung binayaran niya?
385,000.
385,000. The same amount na na-receive ni seller. So, okay tayo dyan. Now, the debit. Tama? What's your debit?
Opo. Cost of service, 350,000.
Notes payable.
Ayun. Debit, notes payable. Kasi
Notes
babawasan natin yung
payable.
Ay,
utang
notes
natin.
payable. Ayaw nga po pala. Opo, opo,
Okay.
opo, opo, opo.
So, that is 350,000. Tama
1,000.
po? Ano
Opo.
pang babawasan
Opo,
natin?
Opo.
Interest.
Interest
Interest expense.
payable.
Interest expense? Babawasan natin?
Ay,
Babawasan natin yung utang
payable.
muna. Interest
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 payable.
payable.
That's why you debit. Interest payable amounting to 5,250.
250.
Debit yun. So, dito natin ilagay. 5,250. Delete natin to. Okay? So, okay. Delete din natin to. Balanse na ba? Hindi pa. So, what is
Di pa po.
the another debit to make it balance?
interest expense.
Interest
Expense.
expense. So, ito yung na konsumo na interest for the year 2021. And that is
29,750.
29,750.
Yung.
So, that's balance naman. Tama? So, that's how
Apa.
you do it. Question?
Answer.
Wala po.
Answer.
Sure? Wala?
Wala.
Okay. So, kung wala ba talaga?
Itang cost of service, sir. Ano
Yes.
po talaga yon? Minsan po nalalagay talaga yan.
Hindi minsan. Talaga nalalagay yan.
Oh, parang always ganun po.
Oo. Kumbaga, kung sa merchandising, purchases yung pinaka-entry mo once you have received your goods ordered. Tama? Pag sa service naman,
Apo, apo.
naka-receive ka ng service na na-provide sa'yo ng seller, cost of service. So, ano to kasi pag sinabi mong cost of service, direct ano yan, direct cost, no? So hindi natin alam kung anong klaseng ano yan, sa
Hindi
illustration
po siya
kasi
specific, sir.
sa illustration kasi hindi naman sinabi kung ano yung business naman ni customer, di ba? Para malaman natin exactly kung ano yung expense account na gagamitin natin or service tawag nito, expense account that are related to service, no? So, to be
Opo.
safe, let us say that it is a cost of
Cost of
service na lang.
service.
Generally,
Mm.
okay.
Okay po. Yun lang po.
Okay po.
Any other question? Wala? Sige na, magtanong na kayo. By the way, no, wala tayong webinar next
Bukas. Ay,
day. Tama? And the next day, Friday.
kailan po niyan, sir?
Possible, like what I've said in the Facebook page, on weekends. Okay, possible weekends. The exact time is to be announced. Okay? So, tingnan natin.
Okay.
So, ano i-discuss natin for that? Yung natitira. Ano yon? Deferred income
Prepaid.
and prepaid expense. So those adjusting items, more on ano to? Analyzing. Okay? Aside from computation, dapat ma-analyze mo. Because for both adjusting items, may method na kailangan mong tandaan. For example, sa prepaid expense, you need to
Opo.
analyze the asset. What will be the effect if you record the transaction originally under asset? Tama? Then, what will be the treatment or the adjusting entry if you originally record the transaction as expense? That's for prepaid expense. And for deferred income, what will happen, no? Or what will be your adjusting entry if you record the original transaction as income? Or what will be your adjusting entry if the original transaction was recorded as liability? So, yun yung kailangan nating aralin for the next webinar. Okay? So kung wala kayong question, no? So salamat class for participation for tonight discussion.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you. Salamat.
Thank you
See
po.
you
Just
on
Thank you po, sir.
next webinar.
Sige po, thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, sir.